You know, I have to say I love the Tasmanian Devil.
I like the Wile E. Coyote.
Roadrunner.
My name is Brittany Lamontagne. I'm Ovid's daughter.
What's he like as a dad?
He knows what the rules are and he sticks to them, and when you don't follow them, he calls you out on it. He lets you know.
I'm a fourth-generation Hampshire native. I worked in local government here, and it's actually state government, working for the people as chairman of the State Board of Education. I've been a foster parent. We've raised our 2 adopted daughters. We've been part of the community in my church and Easter Seals and the Boy Scouts of America, in addition to practicing law and advocating for businesses and individuals and not-for-profit organizations, healthcare law. I'm the most broadly experienced candidate for the United States Senate, and I've been a conservative activist for 20 years. I have a track record that no one else has in this race. When I was chairman of the State Board of Education, just to give you an example, I fought for homeschooling rights, the right of people, the parents to teach their children. They're the first and most important educators. We fought for charter schools, raising standards the New Hampshire way, and we opposed the federal government's takeover at that time, at least additional takeover of elementary secondary school, which was called Goals 2000. Our state was the only state under my leadership to say no to the federal government, and I'm the only candidate for U.S. Senate who says, free the people.
I had the privilege of serving our state as the Attorney General for 5 years, and in that capacity, you deal with issues that come up and issues that impact the state. One of those is we had a budget crisis in January, and the state budget. We're talking about layoffs. There was a deficit, and what I did is every department head was scheduled to get a 5% pay increase, and so I didn't take the pay increase. I turned it back to the taxpayers because I didn't think it was right that we were facing a budget deficit for department heads to be taking a pay raise. So that's an example where I think it's important to lead by example. And you see it in Congress too, where you see Congress getting special benefits or a pay raise. And then, you know, in the private sector right now, difficult economy, people aren't getting pay raises. And I don't think members of Congress should be treated any differently than any of the rest of us. I mean, we're there to serve. And that's the type of attitude that I would bring to the Senate.
My career has been as a business executive turning around troubled companies. And I've taken on some very long-shot situations and succeeded in bringing them back to full growth and hundreds of jobs created. And that's what New Hampshire needs right now. We have 50,000 people who are unemployed here in New Hampshire, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. I think if there's 50,000 people who are unemployed, there must be 500,000 people who are worried about their jobs. They're worried about their job security. They're worried that their salaries are not keeping up with the rises in their expenses and how costly it is to make a living these days. They're worried that they might not make enough money to be able to retire one day. So there's an awful lot of worries and concerns, and we can alleviate these by creating a more robust job environment and creating an environment that brings jobs. Both organic growth from the businesses that are here, but also importing businesses from other nearby states. And I'm pretty good at all those things.
Well, first of all, we have to balance our budget. I support a constitutional amendment for a balanced budget. Short of that, until we get that in place, we need to fight to make sure that our budget is balanced. I have a 3-part test that apply to all spending programs, and I believe in zero-based budgeting. No sacred cows. You look at every program, every department, and you say, A, is it constitutional? B, is it good policy? And C, can we afford it, given the things the federal government should do? Job 1, national security. Let's fully fund our national security commitment to our armed forces, men and women in uniform, make sure they are well equipped, that we have the best equipment to support them. and then let's decide what else we can spend on in terms of domestic programs where the government is. And then we need entitlement reform to make sure that our entitlement programs are going to be solvent, so that soon we can put ourselves onto a path of solvency in this country. And we need structural changes. That's why I support term limits for congressmen and women. We need to make sure that we have new people coming in, every cycling in and out, so we refresh the Congress, make it accountable to the people. And then I would eliminate earmarks and the other trappings of Washington that force and entice elected representatives to spend more money than they have. And that's going to be the kind of integrity we need. We need to have it now, because we are not going to have an America worthy of our children and grandchildren very soon.
The first thing that I would do is I would ask every single agency in the federal government to submit a budget that has a 20% cut. And then we would look and decide which agencies we were going to cut. We wouldn't necessarily do an across-the-board cut, but some agencies you may cut more, some you may cut less. Then I would push a balanced budget amendment. 48 states, including New Hampshire, have the requirement to balance their budget, but yet in Washington they think they can just keep printing money. So I would support a balanced budget amendment. I would also end the process of earmarks, because it has been used to buy people's votes. It's been a corrupted process, and I think it's really a symptom of the kind of attitude in Washington of not accountability for taxpayer dollars. I think that every spending item should now have a sunset requirement, so that Congress is required to reauthorize the spending for every spending item, so that we can look at each program and say, do we still need it? And if we don't, we let it expire and we repeal those programs.
This is my specialty. This is what I do. The first thing we've got to do is allow businesses to predict their future costs. And we're getting policies from our government that make it extremely hard for businesses to do that. Businesses can't predict their tax rates. They can't predict their cost of capital, because capital gains taxes are going up at the end of this year. They can't predict what their labor costs or their energy costs are going to be because of card check and cap and trade. And they can't predict what their health insurance costs are going to be because of this massive new government takeover of healthcare. So when there's uncertainty in so many major line items of their income statement, then they do nothing. They stop hiring and they pull back. What I would do is reverse these destructive policies of the federal government. Every single one of these things is 180 degrees out of phase with where we want to be. The second thing we do is we've got to start doing constructive things to help create job growth, such as accelerating depreciation on new capital equipment, tax credits for new employment, tax credits for research and development. All those things would help. But mostly what would help is to get the federal government out of the way, because the government is screwing up everything it touches. Now, here in New Hampshire, there's another thing that I can do and I will do, and that is we've got businesses in nearby states such as Massachusetts, and I'm particularly interested in the biotechs around MIT. I'm going to recruit those businesses up to New Hampshire. And I can do this because I know a lot of the CEOs of some of the major businesses in Massachusetts, and I speak their language. I went to graduate school with a lot of these folks. And I can go down there and make a pro forma argument and say, if you move 35 miles to the north, just 35 miles up to Portsmouth or up to Nashua, you'd improve your earnings per share by X. And if you improve your earnings per share, then you're going to improve the value of your company, and that's good for you and your shareholders. Oh, my favorite Looney Tune character would be the Roadrunner, because I am the Roadrunner. I've been running around the state of New Hampshire doing 6, 7, 8 appointments a day, often talking to over 100 voters a day, and I've worn out 5 pairs of shoes since January. Fortunately, I have a cobbler in Nashua, Gary's Shoe Repair, on my speed dial now, but it's sure a lot less expensive to repair your shoes than to buy new ones, and especially in this economy. So I'm the Roadrunner. I'm out there running, meeting voters, and trying to make new friends between now and Election Day.
I like the Wile E. Coyote. I think that the Wile E. Coyote is, he's always getting into things. He's sometimes clever, he's sometimes not, but he's one of my favorite characters.
Who's my favorite? You know, I have to say I love the Tasmanian Devil. He's kind of a crazy man, and he's got a lot of passion and energy, and he lets it fly, and I like that about him. It's the raw passion. So the Tasmanian Devil, I in fact have a stuffed animal my sister gave me when I went to college when I was 18, way back when. I don't even want to tell you how long ago it was, 1975. And that Tasmanian Devil was with me. But I love the other cartoon characters too, but that would be my favorite.